When you're solving these inequalities, they're one step, and there's a number that's next to the letter. So to get rid of that multiplication, you want to divide. What you want to keep in mind, however, is if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, then the inequality symbol is going to flip over. But if you multiply or divide by a positive number, the inequality will not flip over. So let's put that in action here with these problems. Okay, so this one, I want to get rid of the multiply by 3. That's what's next to the y. So I'm going to divide by 3. What I do to one side, I do to the other. And in this case, notice I'm dividing both sides by a positive number. So this inequality symbol is just going to come straight down. Dividing by 3 is what got the y by itself. And then negative 18 divided by positive 3 is negative 6. In this next one, there's a 2 next to the x. So I want to get rid of multiply by 2 by dividing by 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Again, in this particular one, I'm dividing by a positive number, so the inequality symbol is going to come straight down. Dividing by 2 got rid of the 2, so x is by itself, and negative 6 divided by positive 2 is negative 3. Okay, now in this one here, the number next to the w is negative 3. So to get rid of the multiply by negative 3, I want to divide by negative 3. What I do to one side, I do to the other. When I'm dividing by negative 3, I can't just bring this symbol straight down, because when you divide by a negative, you want to flip that over. So notice I've changed the direction, and then 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3, and dividing by negative 3 got the w by itself. This answer is just fine. If you type in this answer, you're good. But often it's nice to have the variable on the left-hand side. If you were checking in the back of the book, usually they put the letter on the left side, or if it was a multiple choice test, they'll have the letter on the left side. So we've done it correctly, but we may not realize that it's a match. So if you decide to change places here, so I put the w here and the negative 3 here, if you flip-flop those, then you've got to also change the direction of our inequality. It used to be eating the w, and it should still be eating the w there. So notice if I change sides, I change the direction. Okay, this one here, the negative in front of the x is the same thing as negative 1. So this is saying negative 1 multiplied by x. To get rid of multiply by negative 1, I want to divide by negative 1. What I do to one side, I do to the other. I'm not going to be able to just bring this symbol down because I'm dividing by a negative number. So I'm going to flip this over because I divided by a negative. And then dividing by negative 1 got the x by itself, and 2 divided by negative 1 is equal to negative 2. Okay, here are just a few more. This time the number that's on the same side of the u is underneath it, so they're dividing, and what gets rid of division is multiplication. So if I want to get rid of divide by negative 3, I'm going to multiply by negative 3. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Because I'm multiplying by a negative number, this inequality symbol here, it can't come straight down. It's going to need to flip over. So since I multiplied by a negative, the inequality flipped over. U is now by itself, and negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Once again, this answer is just fine. If you type this in, you're good. But if you would like the variable to be written first, the u here and the negative 6 here, if you change the order, you need to flip it back over. So it was eating the -6 and it's still eating the -6. So notice it changed. All right, this one, the x is being divided by 2. So to get the x by itself, I want to get rid of divide by 2 by multiplying by 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other. This time, I'm multiplying by a positive number, so I gotta just bring that straight down. It does not flip over. The multiply by 2 got rid of the 2, and 8 multiplied by 2 is 16. Okay, last example. My m is being divided by -4. That's what's preventing the m from being by itself. So to undo divide by 4, I'm going to multiply by 4. What I do to one side of the inequality, I do to the other. In this one, I am not going to be able to just bring that down because I am multiplying by a negative. So I need to flip this symbol over. This -4 cancels this -4, and m is by itself. And +1 times -4 is -4. So your main idea is if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, then flip over the inequality. But if you multiply or divide both sides by a positive, or from our previous problems, if you add or subtract from both sides, the inequality does not flip over.